Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. In today's episode, I'm talking to Alex Rudnicka, who is the founder of CEO Female Entrepreneur, a mentorship company that teaches women to connect with their inner badass CEO, rock their sales, and run their businesses like a pro. Alex's pitch came to me at the perfect time. I was seeing such a theme that comes up again and again, and this comes with absolutely no judgment. My goodness, running your own business and pitching and putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and asking for sales can bring up all your stuff. But I really wanted to explore with Alex what happens if we can start to overcome those things, if we can actually start to work through them and have a toolkit of success. So you actually do get the stuff that you want to do done. And you're not just stuck in fear or self-doubt of thinking, how am I ever going to do this? So it's a really juicy one. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and do come over to Instagram. Maybe put the episode in your stories by taking a screenshot and tag us both and let us know what you think. There were so many times where I was nodding along like, yes, 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 yes. Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a super interesting chat, so enjoy and rate, review, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I will see you very soon. Enjoy the episode. Alex, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for being with me.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. So what do you do? How would you describe yourself at this current time?
I would say that my magic power is that I help female entrepreneurs to stop being the so-called nice girl and reconnect with their inner badass CEO so they can run their business like a pro and really go for it in life and business.
So how did that start? How did you... Oh, I've got so many questions. Oh, my goodness. Like, just ask one at once, Nicky. How did you come to realise that so many of us are trying to be a nice girl and fit into this beautiful little box that has probably been invented by a man?
The beautiful box that keeps you hostage, right? Yes, absolutely. So this was a very organic process for me. I actually never set up my business to work in this particular niche. At that time, I was already a business coach, already working with clients on helping them build a business. And we were dealing with the regular businessy stuff. So like the strategy, like how to write the emails, the content marketing, etc. And it was just a very organic process when I started to realize that, first of all, to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory, I used to struggle. I'm totally a recovered nice girl myself. So it was something that, yes, it was something that I struggled with for a really long time. I mean, like half of my life or more. And it kind of showed itself in a very damaging way, such as giving into fear, giving up too early, people pleasing, codependent behaviors, working 100-hour weeks just because I couldn't say no.
I'm nodding to all the things.
Yes, exactly.
It rings very true.
Yes, and at the time, I thought it was just me. So once I kind of had to overcome those things to build my own business, and then I kind of let go of those things, as I was working with my clients, I started seeing the same behaviors in them. So, for example, I would give them, a plan of action. Okay, so here are, X, Y, Z things that you need to do in your business to grow it. And then they wouldn't do it. And I'm like, what's going on? And then the box would open up and everything would spill because I'm scared, because what will people say about me? I don't know, maybe this makes me a bad mom. And the more women I work with, the more when you work with a variety of people, and once you work with a certain amount of people, you have that special place of observation when you can start seeing patterns. And I started saying, oh my God, this is the real thing. Yeah. And so many brilliant, skilled, talented, beautiful women have this. And it's just somewhere it's just simmering beneath the surface. And no one really talks about it in a business coaching. But this is the very thing that's stopping them from succeeding in business. So it was
not just in that moment either. It's not like, oh, sorry, Alex, I didn't do the homework that I set you. And you go, oh, it's okay, we can just try better next time. It's what that knock-on effect has of, I didn't do this, or I didn't feel like I could show up for myself, or I didn't put that boundary in place when I thought I should have done. And that has a knock-on effect of, there's all these stats, aren't there, of sort of by the time a man gets to a certain age, I think there was something like the pay gap is so significant that he could buy a 3-bedroom villa in Portugal or something. Like, it has such an impact on so many areas of our lives.
It absolutely does. And once I opened my eyes, I was like, oh my gosh, this is bigger than I thought. And very, very slowly, it wasn't a straight line. So very slowly, I started just say, okay, how do I infuse this into my marketing? How do I infuse this into my messaging? And I just started making posts online, such as, the nice girl is killing your business, and here is why. And women started responding, like, this is resonating with me. Oh my God, I'm such a nice girl. Oh my God, I can see myself in what you've just described. And when I had a bigger confirmation from social posts and from social interaction, I decided to make it a lead, let's just say, specialty of the unique twist of my business coaching, because it really is not just a strategy that stops people. 9 people out of 10, they can have the right strategy. If the head is not in the game, if the woman is scared to go fully in the game, she's not going to have the results that she wants to have. And that's not just in business, that's in life, that's in love, that's in a career life as well.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. What prompted you to realize those patterns of behavior about yourself? Was there a sudden moment where you were like, oh, that's what it is, and you had that realization, or was it a gradual process?
Looking back, I think it was definitely a gradual process. I did a tremendous work on myself. To start with, I'm a shy introvert, so I am the INTJ type of personality. Although some people would argue that I am an F as well, because I'm a very emotional. I'm not sure if you know about the personality types.
A little bit, yes.
Yes, and I've always thought that, oh, maybe I'm just introverted, maybe I'm just shy. But the problem was that inside, I knew that I wanted more, and I couldn't make myself do more. I couldn't make myself go after my dreams. So it was this kind of internal battle of, I want to speak up, but I wouldn't speak up. Right. I want to make a change, but I wouldn't make a change. I want to progress, but I wouldn't take the action. Or I would make promises to myself thousands and thousands of times, but then I wouldn't take the action because I was scared or because I didn't believe in myself. Lack of confidence was a humongous thing for me. And it was already, and it kind of like simmered in me for years and years. And as I started going into management positions back in my career, I started going into management trainings, and then I realized, okay, well, if you are a leader, you need to lead people, you need to be strong yourself. So I started working on myself through those kind of training programs. But then fast forward to when I was already in business, bear in mind, I actually failed 4 businesses before I broke through and actually started making money, was able to quit my job and say, oh, it's a happy story now. And I failed at all 4 of those ventures purely to the fact that I never went in the game and I never really believed that it was possible for me.
Oh, thank you for being so honest, because so often we just hear these stories of female entrepreneurs of going, I just did this and I just figured it out. But no doubt there have been experiments or ideas that didn't quite turn out the way they imagined, or, as I say, a business that had to kind of close because it wasn't doing what it should have done as a business. And I really appreciate your honesty, because it's not just a straight line of, I just woke up like this.
Absolutely. I think it's important that we tell those stories, those untold stories, because never have we had so many people going into entrepreneurship and they get seduced by the fancy marketing of those sweet stories.
Yeah, and what on shoes.
Yes, absolutely. And what they don't know is the story behind the story, that there was a story before you were this successful entrepreneur. There was a process of the so-called transition,
yes,
which isn't pretty.
The girl crying in the toilets, or the kind of the Friday nights drinking a bit too much wine and sort of sharing the same boring old story about how much you hate your life to your friends, and they're just looking at you going, oh my goodness, when is this ever going to end? Not the life, but like, are you going to sort yourself out and get out of victim mode?
Absolutely. So there was a time, I actually remember there was a very distinctive moment. I was listening to a podcast, actually. You probably have heard of Louis House. So he's got like one of those
yes,
like self-improvement podcasts. And he was talking to someone about the characteristics of champions. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was hanging out my washing. I was like picking something up. And
these always happen, don't they? These moments in like the most unglamorous other moments where you're like, I was picking up the peas off the kitchen floor that my son had thrown everywhere. And you're like, oh God.
Yes, absolutely. So there I was with my headphones in, with my iPhone, listening to the podcast. And they were talking that it was kind of like a countdown of those characteristics. And then he said various things, and I was just listening to it, and I was like, this is really good. And then he said number 1. And he said one sentence that literally made me drop the laundry and just collapsed in tears. And that sentence was, champions utilize self-belief to their advantage. And I was done, because I was like, I just don't believe in myself. I need to believe in myself. This is the missing link. How do I do that? So that was the moment.
That, I guess. What did you start to do? What were the first steps, and did you even know what the first steps were?
No, I didn't. It's not like there is a manual, right? But being a foreigner, a skill that I have very, very highly developed is a skill of observation and being resourceful and looking for answers. I was never a person to say, well, I don't know. So if I don't know something, I will go and research. So I literally just started asking questions. How does one become confident? How does one believe in themselves? And that was the moment when I went really, really heavy on mindset work, and I decided that it is a skill. And if all the people were not confident and then they became confident, then I can do that also. And I literally made a very, very conscious decision to start playing in my own team.
Yes. I love that.
Yes, the way that I sometimes describe it to my clients is that when you are not confident, when you don't believe in yourself, it's just imagine that you are a runner and you like on that starting track, and there's like someone on your left, someone on your right, and everyone's like stretching and preparing to do the race, and they're like setting themselves up to win. And then what do? You kneel over, you kneel down, you look at your shoelaces and you tie them together. So then when the gun goes off, everyone starts running. What do? You like fall flat on your face. This is what you do to yourself when you allow those self-defeating thoughts to run in your head. I think that's a great metaphor to really explain the damaging effect of not playing on your own team in terms of self-belief and self-confidence.
You're so right, and I feel that unless you are aware of that, and unless you work at it daily, hourly, minute by minute, whenever you need to, unless you actually make that a priority, it will just run away with itself. And I think certainly as well, going back to that nice girl stuff, our brains have enough evidence to back up, like, no, you're just fine the way that you are, or the way that maybe we were brought up. It's that sense of don't get above your station, or don't do anything different. So our brain has all of those things ingrained in us. So you've got to work really hard to break them, because some of those beliefs are more years than I'd care to remember.
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. It is work, and definitely is a process. And people ask me, okay, well, how long do I do that? How long is it going to take? And the answer is, I don't know, because everyone's different. And as you say, some people have it more wired in them. Some people have it less wired in them. And so for me, it was really a lot of work, and it was absolutely the way you've described it. It was making a decision to be compassionate and to listen to those thoughts and to literally polish my own mind as much as I could. And say, no, I'm going to say this instead of that. No, I'm actually going to feel this instead of this. And it happens until there is something which I call the point of saturation. And the point of saturation is when you've done so much repetition within the certain area of a skill, right? That it becomes the majority of your mindset. And it's not possible to control every single thought that comes into your head. But as long as you keep majority of yourself feeling that you love yourself, that you believe in yourself, that it's possible for you, then it's so much easier to let go and dissolve those negative thoughts when they do come in, because they still will continue to come in.
Yes.
But you have by now rewired your brain, made your I believe in myself connections in your brain stronger, and the connections of, who are you to do this, much weaker. So when they try to speak up, you can literally just like push them away and say, do you know what? You don't even deserve any airtime in my head, go away.
And how do you do that on the days where you might feel extra tired or hormonal, or you get a real blow that you're not expecting, and we're human beings as well at the end of it, that it really knocks you for six? How do you fight back even harder? Are there any things that really help you practically, or phrases or mantras or anything like that, that sort of kick your mindset back into shape?
Absolutely. So a number one thing to answer your question, that when you're tired, and this is me saying to everyone out there, and to every man, actually, to everyone, when you're tired, don't listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't listen to yourself. Just say, you know what, you're tired, your mind is tired, go to sleep. And then take care of yourself. I mean, literally just ignore yourself. Yes. Just ignore yourself. And that's the best advice I can do. In terms of a bigger setbacks or bigger obstacles, or maybe you had some sort of rejection, then, yes, we are human beings, and you need to do this with compassion. There is a big difference between being feeling like invincible and nothing can touch me and I am the best in the world, and being truly confident. Yes. Confidence is right, but there's a big difference between those two things. And confidence is not about arrogance, and it's not about feeling it at all times. It's about filtering what serves you and filtering the noise, which means that, if you are trying, especially in any sort of creative field, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, or when you're trying to build a brand, in the beginning, when no one knows who you are and what you're about, you will be ignored and you will be rejected a lot of times. You as an actress, you know this more than anyone else, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
That muscle is strong.
So it's very important that we don't take those things personally, and that we truly trust that it's possible for us. Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah, and just to be able to stand in that knowing of who you are is good enough, because I think sometimes in my early acting career I had this sense of, I'll be whatever you want me to be, and sometimes you can take that too far because you're trying to, cut your hair in a certain way to follow the trend, or like have a new accent or whatever it might be. And sometimes what you need to do is just really hone what it is that your USP is, and when the time is right, then your time will come.
Absolutely. And what's even more damaging with trying to, I be whatever you want me to be, is that it's unattractive and it doesn't work.
Yes.
Because on the energy level, people can feel it. People can feel that you're looking for permission, that you're looking to be liked, that you're looking to be accepted. And it works with having sales conversations as well. When you're trying to sign up clients and you're like desperate, like, please like me, right?
Yes.
Then
I'll
you
give
can
you a
even talk
discount.
more effectively. Oh yeah, absolutely. Maybe not. So I think it's about energy, and about knowing absolutely that there is a level of emotional growing up that we need to do. And once we reach that level of, okay, I'm going to own who I am. So just to give you an example, I used to have a really big fear that people wouldn't buy from me because I have a weird accent and because I have a weird surname. I literally thought that people wouldn't trust me for some reason. And people don't care. But it was my story that I was running in my head.
Yeah, that your brain automatically wants to keep you safe. So it's just a bit like, don't worry, I'll find some other excuses and we can just stay small together. You don't have to break out of your comfort zone at all.
Absolutely. I mean, those things are very insidious, and your subconscious mind will use any trick in the hat. So it will try to attack you by saying, who are you to do this? You're not good enough, etc. But if it doesn't work, it may even make you sick. Like your body may have a physical reaction to something, as in like, oh my gosh, I'm having a really bad headache. I can't go to this audition or something. And I'm not saying it's always like this, but if we are fighting to break through a really, really strong limiting belief, then that old identity, what I call it, will fight very strongly to stay alive. And I think having awareness of what's going on is the first step to say, actually, no, hold on a second. I'm going to go and do this regardless of how I'm feeling right now, because it's important and because I decided to do that.
Yes. I was just thinking about that tired thing, that when my son is tired, and even like something like going in the bath is such a big deal. Like, I don't want to go in the bath, I'm too tired. And now he is getting a bit more self-awareness where he'll say, sorry about my behaviour, mummy, I was just a bit tired. Like, he's recognising those patterns for himself. But generally, through those periods, all is forgiven because I know he's not thinking rationally. And that's just really struck a chord with me, where don't make decisions in the middle of the night when you're tired and emotional and completely wired.
Mm, that is music to my ears, absolutely. And it only came to me with age, really. And the
Oh,
more
I
I
know. Can
study,
you
the
imagine
more.
if we knew all these things when we were younger? I would have like had a multi-international business at about 7 or something. But I think, well, I hope, I mean, I'm certainly going to do the work with my children, but that sense of this is such an important piece of the puzzle of figuring out how we can round ourselves out as human beings and understand our own patterns of behavior and success, that sometimes the school system, I think, is a bit flawed because it's just encouraging us to do more, put more hours in, more homework. And if your head's not in the game, it's just not going to work.
Oh, don't even get me started on the school system, because I'm a mother myself, right? My daughter is 9. I didn't like school, maybe because I was shy, etc. So I didn't particularly enjoy it. But in my opinion, schools really, and I don't want to be like overly judgmental, but in a times where you have to brand yourself for who you are and sell your services is really strong, and it's a completely different skill set to being an employee. So, and I think this is what we see more and more and more, why women, not only women, any kind of people who are switching from being an employee to being an entrepreneur are struggling so much, because the school system is teaching you very much the nice girl behavior, fit in, do your grades, memorize the things. Like, it doesn't teach you to analyzing and coming up, being resourceful and dealing with issues when they come up. Like, what do you do when there is no solution? What do you do when there's a wall in front of you? It teaches you to hit your scorecards, and if you have the grades that you are supposed to have, then you are a good student.
Right.
The same thing happens in companies, right? Do your KPIs, come to meetings, do this, do that, and, don't go on your break when you want to. And don't get me wrong, we need all of those things to keep companies running. I'm not saying that they're bad at all, but it's a different skill set and different mindset to being an entrepreneur, when you're like, hey, there really aren't any rules. You can make your own rules. You can be creative, and you can really make it to your liking.
Totally. And I think that thing about being an entrepreneur is the more you do it, the more problems you face inevitably, because you start to up level. You're looking at different. I mean, we touched about on it before we started recording. Like, you start using new technology, you start learning these new things. You might start to manage staff and really go to the next level in that way. But one thing I've learned to really harness is that power of, I might not have met this exact problem before, but I've met something similar and I figured it out. So I can do that again, rather than like, Mom, it's not working. What am I going to do? And, feeling like everything is being completely crushed.
Well, that's not even the worst reaction. I used to be worse than that. I used to I'm laughing because it's funny. It's funny how things in retrospective seem funny, but they're not so funny when we go through them, right? So in the beginning, and I was completely self-taught, because I was so broke that I couldn't invest in anything. So I was teaching myself how to build WordPress websites. I was doing everything myself. And in the beginning, I used to take like technical issues so personally that if I didn't know that how to resolve something online, or kind of like I didn't know how to tweak something, that would mean that I was a bad person and it would never work for me. Whereas now I'm like, okay, well, it's just a tech issue. Just go and find the answer. The good thing about tech is that it's dead. Like, it's not mean. It's not out there to trying to get you and make you feel bad. It doesn't have that kind of ability.
It really doesn't care about you. That's the thing. It's not an emotional thing. It's a bit like, yeah, sure, we're in the same room, but whatever.
Exactly. So, but we really need to focus on our thinking and be solution focused, as in like, okay, someone has the answer. All I need to do is find the answer, find the solution. And I think it's just such a beautiful journey, regardless on what field that you're in. that it really teaches you to trust yourself. And you just keep building that resilience of like, okay, I've dealt with this, I've dealt with that. Oh my God, this one, I thought I would never get over this one, yet I did. And that's where that confidence also comes from as well. No one can take your skills away from you. Someone, I don't know, there could be a huge crash. What would happen if someone took away your business from you tomorrow? You would just rebuild it. Why? Because you have the skills.
Exactly.
And that's where that deeper, really, really like unshakable confidence comes from. Because you know you have it in you to do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And the more you do this, the more you can use it in different areas of your life as well, because you start understanding the process of how it goes.
Totally. And it has a knock-on effect that you're trying to, not that I have this kind of relationship necessarily, but like if there's something that me and my partner need to work through, it's not that kind of Jeremy Kyle screaming and shouting and like, you did this and I don't like this and all the rest of it. It's learning those kind of like, okay, what's the bottom line here? What's the solution that we're trying to get to? How can we get there in the quickest way? And that's not to say that if he's speaking, I'm like, come on, like get on with it. But it's using it to in a positive way and not just sort of staying in that zone. And I think it's really interesting, that sense of growing your business in a way that feels really good to you and in a way that just suits your personality and feels good, and that you're really enjoying the journey as well. And the amount of times that I see my clients sort of share what we or they have been working on behind the scenes, share it on Instagram. And always the first thing that I do is I message them saying, have you celebrated this? It's live. It's amazing. This is brilliant. And they're like, oh, no, I haven't yet. I've just been too busy. And, I have to have a stern word with them going, you need to celebrate this, because this will be another anchor for you of going, oh my goodness, I actually bloody did it.
Absolutely. And I think it's just such a beautiful journey that in the beginning, it's okay that we all try to build our businesses and model after someone. And that's totally okay. That's why maybe our messaging isn't working in the beginning, because we're not really speaking our truth. No. Once we let go of those kind of like nice girl behaviors, so to speak, then we can find our unique voice. And you probably will see that from your friends as well. Those of them who really unapologetically create their businesses from their heart, from their desire, they really stand out. So it's when you really unleash that creative force from yourself without the fear of how you're going to be perceived, what will people say about you, that gives you that power, and then you just have a huge payback from that.
Totally. But that, like, not to underestimate how much work that takes and dedication for lots of people. I mean, I grew up in a very small village, well, quite a big village, but a small community, and everybody knew what everybody was doing, and you weren't necessarily built up to win. Like, wow, that's great that she's doing that. Isn't that inspiring? It was a bit like, what are you doing that for? Or is that, you sort of pull down. It was like that thing that people talk about when you get a bucket of crabs. If one tries to break free, the others will kind of pull it back down. Like, no, you stay here with us.
I'm just, you can't see me, but I'm just like literally like nodding my head and really taking this in, because I think it's just such a tragedy when people give in to the mentality of the masses and people around you. Yeah. So just to give you an idea, for my entire life, I never thought of and I think I told you about this before we had the interview, I never was the so-called entrepreneurial material. I've never had a lemonade stand. I've never was thinking about how to make money. I never had loads of ideas. I was just a very shy person. Without any like big chances. I didn't know anyone who was up to big things. I didn't know anyone who had a business. And I'm so passionate about telling people to listen to that quiet voice inside you that tells you, hey, there is more for you. Because it's that voice that when we follow it, it's never wrong. but it's the fear that stops us from going. So, my question to you is, what made you, like, were you just naturally like, okay, I'm going to go and have those big things happen, and I want to be an actress and I want to have a business? Like, I'm sure that you had your moments when you were thinking, well, who am I to do this? That's why it's so important that we share the stories and people know, hey, I'm just a regular person like you, yet I can have an extraordinary life.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure I wasn't as popular as I could have been, or I didn't get the popular boys, well, not at school, but they came later down the line, but that's another story. But do you know what? I think on that, I was thinking about this the other day, that at school I wasn't necessarily like one of the cool kids. I was just like, oh, whatever, because the cool kids in my school were all about messing around and like just causing havoc, really. It was quite it wasn't a terrible school, but it was quite fraught. There was always something going on, like, oh, there's been a fight or there's been a whatever. Like, it was quite raucous. But when I remember going to sixth form college and at 16 and kind of reinventing myself and thinking like, yeah, I'm just going to like own the fact that I'm really cool, and like, even though I wasn't necessarily, whatever that means, but I kind of owned it. And you know what, like, things started to happen because I had that belief in myself of, it wasn't like I was walking around with, holding up a couple of fingers going, yeah, whatever, I'm great, don't come near me. But I just had that sudden belief in myself, and it had a really positive effect on lots of areas of my life. And I think sometimes we don't necessarily have to go and have that big retreat or that life transformation. Sometimes we can just decide going, I'm not going to put up with that rubbish anymore. I'm no longer available for that. And, that's when we can make big progress quite quickly.
I love your story. I really would like to see you back then, maybe going with the fingers, right? That would be a good picture to see.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
And because but then, of course, like, that had a detrimental effect with my parents, because they were a bit like, oh my goodness, where's our sweet child gone, who was very kind of conformist and predictable, and I just became a bit of a fireball. But equally, like, it was 2 years of my life that I think when I left home at 18, my mum was like, yeah, I'm ready for this moment now. But maybe it was down to teenage angst or whatever, but it did give me those skills of like, you can reinvent yourself as and when you want, and you don't necessarily have to wait for somebody else's permission.
Nice. Well, I didn't have that moment until I was like 28.
But it came when it needed to come.
I was like stuck in my, who am I to do this? So I love your story. And when you said that, it was about that coolness, like you were cool because you thought you were cool. It doesn't mean that you're really cool, but people respond to your coolness when you believe that you're cool, whatever that is. And I think that's the beauty of the energy, that when we trust ourselves, when we love ourselves, and when we honor ourselves for what we want, other people respond to us better because it's attractive.
Yes.
And not just in a sexual way. I'm talking about any sort of environment, whether that's in meetings, in your negotiations at your company, or whether you go into auditions and trying to be picked, or whether you are on a sales conversation. Just energy-wise, when you're on your side, other people feel it, and it's one of those things that people just resonate with on an energy level.
Absolutely. And certainly when I had my son, when I'd go to auditions, I was fitting them in between nap times and feeding, or like my mum would have him for an hour so I could pop into Soho and like do this meeting and then get back. And I think that energy of like, are you running on time? Is like, what's happening here, rather than like, I'm just here all day waiting for my dream. Hopefully you will pick me, in that kind of nice girl way that used to happen. Bizarrely, I just got a lot more jobs, even though I was a mum now and I was a bit bigger than I had been before. And I'm sure I was still breastfeeding at the time and all of these things. But I think sometimes, if you can manage your energy in that way, it does brilliant things. What works really well for you in terms of managing your own energy? Because I guess when we're working with clients, you have to hold that space and that time and energy for them. What works for you?
I'm going to answer it by describing my tattoo, actually, that I have on my right hand. And by the way, I am not a tattoo person at all. If someone ever told me that I would have a tattoo, I'd be like, are you crazy? Tattoos are for like dangerous people. It's changed now. Now they're cool. But I'm going to talk you very, very quickly through my tattoo. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. Okay. And the first one stands for D, which is a desire, right? So for me, the most important thing is that I listen to my desire, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. The next thing is that I imagine, which means that if there is a desire in my head, I then start dwelling on it. I give it attention. I imagine things. I visualize it. Next thing, believe. Right, that was the step that I was failing at for a really, really long time. Again, that that kind of low confidence piece. So I'd make a decision. I'm going to believe that it's possible for me and that it is mine to claim. Next, focus, which means that I focus on what you want. So many people, and you probably will know this so well as a coach. So many times you ask people what they want and they answer the question in terms of its opposite, which what I mean by that is that they tell you about the goal that they have in a way of all of the reasons why it's not going to work for them, right? So
it's never celebrated, is it? It's kind of like, well, I would like this because I sort of don't want this, and this.
Absolutely. So they focus, so they want something, but they focus on what they don't want, and then they create that reality. So that F is for focus. Next to this is action. A for action. Again, I used to be a massive procrastinator, never used to take action, which is one of the biggest acts of self-betrayal that there is, not to go after what you want. So I take action for things that I believe in, that I want to create. The next letter is P, which is for persistence. Again, I used to give up so easily. Now, when I lock my desire on something, like, I'm going to get it. Sooner or later, I'm going to get it. Yeah. And the last letter is R for receive. So for me, that's my map in life. That's all I need to do. That's all I need to do to be centered. That's all I need to know that I'm going in the right direction. And whenever I feel in life that I'm lost, all I need to do is look at those letters and see, okay, what am I not doing? Maybe I haven't listened to my desire recently. Maybe I've been distracted. Maybe I haven't been focusing on what I want. Maybe I haven't been taking action, or maybe I haven't been persisting enough. So on a bigger scale, this is kind of like my roadmap in life. On a smaller scale, I definitely have a mindset routine that I do every single day. And it just helps me to stay focused and centered into whom I intentionally and deliberately choose to be every single day.
I absolutely love that. And most people can sometimes go, I'm a positive person, so I don't need to work this. Or like sometimes people will say, I'm a naturally slim person. I'm not, by the way. But like when people say, I'm a naturally slim person, so I don't need to take care of my health because I'm not fat, it's you still need to do the inner workings of these sorts of things. And I love that you have that as a focus. I heard a coach called Emily Williams. I don't know if you know her or people listening who do. She's really interesting, and she's said some great nuggets over the years. And one thing that she says about desire is if you have the desire, on some level it's meant for you, because otherwise why would it have been placed in your body and your mind? And it really struck with me because there was some sort of comfort in that. Like, oh, I'm not just crazy for thinking like, oh, I want that. Wouldn't it be cool if? it's like, no, if it keeps coming up again and again, maybe it is meant for me. And then once you start to lean into that, you're like, and I'm doing it, and this is happening, and this is possible, and that's when it gets really exciting.
You must follow your desire. The way I describe it is I always say that desire justifies itself, which means that the very fact that you have a desire for something, means that you are capable of achieving it, yes. Right? And I think that there is a great price for women, especially, who don't follow their desires. Those depressed women, those women who lack light in their eyes, who lack that sparkle, who lack that radiance. There is a great price for when you don't honor what you want in life.
Yeah, and I see it in myself sometimes. You can look at photos of yourself and other people might have gone, oh yeah, Nicky was on great form that night, or she made me laugh, or we had a couple of glasses of wine, probably more than a couple, but we had a great time that evening. But I know sometimes I can see it in myself, like, it's not all piecing together as it should there. And yeah, you've got to keep working it. But if people want to come and find out more about you, where should they go? And where's the best place to kind of hang out and get to know you more?
Sure. So my name is Alex Rudnicka, and I'm sure you can find my surname in the show notes. So just find me online. I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, etc. In terms of my website, just come over to ceofemale-entrepreneur.com. And you can have lots of interesting things to interact there with. Perfect.
And I've got one final question, which is, where would you like to be in 5 years' time?
Oh, I will be running CEO Female Entrepreneur still on a much more global scale. I have no doubt whatsoever about it. So by then we will have a fancy office and not such a big team, just enough of people who believe in my mission. And I will be doing my thing in the world. Yeah.
And what will you be doing personally? What are your personal goals?
Personally, this is an interesting question because I'm one of those people who understands and who gave herself permission to actually be like, you know what? And this is I always struggle when people ask me, what's your hobby? And I'm like,
what business?
Kind of my work. Is that okay? So in my personal life, I definitely want to be in a happy relationship. I am currently single, so yes, I'm definitely available for a special king to come into my life.
Available for all the things.
Yes, and definitely enjoying my daughter being a teenager and us having wonderful conversations about life, traveling, and just enjoying life, just living to the absolute fullest and meeting wonderful people. To me, there isn't many things that can compare to a wonderful, nourishing, juicy conversation with interesting people over a great meal. It's just one of those moments when you walk away and you're just like, oh my God, my soul is just so juiced up. So I have very simple desires.
Absolutely. And somebody said that to me the other day, what do you do to relax? And I said that very thing, I love a great chat, sitting, having some good food, or people drinking cups of tea on my sofa. I just love that feeling when you don't have to clock watch and you don't have to worry about going anywhere. You can just kind of go with the flow.
Absolutely. Enjoy some good steak as well. I'm not sure if you're a meat eater, but I am.
I'm basically eating all the things with this second pregnancy. This child is like, what are we eating? What are we doing? You haven't fed me for about 40 minutes. I'm really hungry. Quick. And I'm eating all the things, which is good. So
look after yourself.
I will, absolutely. And sometimes you just have to go to bed. I think this is a thing, in terms of part of this self-care and protecting yourself and taking yourself to the next level, is sometimes you have to just keep doing the basic things as well as the big bold, yes, I can do this, and the new mindset stuff. Sometimes those basic things have to be in place as well.
Gargantuan. I'm not sure if it's a word, but my daughter uses it. And the way I describe it is that gargantuan results happen when you do the tiny steps. So yes. I absolutely agree. Yes.
Yes. Oh, Alex, I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some steak sometime soon. That sounds great. Sorry for the vegans and the vegetarians who are listening, or other foods are available. But yeah, I've loved the chat. Thank you so much for being so candid and just such a brilliant guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.